on East Texas now. I know we've been talking about this for what it feels like forever. But really, it's just, the anticipation, the buildup of early voting kicking off tomorrow.
Yes, yeah. Early voting starts tomorrow. Primaries, all that fun stuff's going
All
on
of it.
tomorrow. Yeah, all of it. And so this morning, I was gonna try to get you guys a live hit out on the field, but things move so fast because it's a busy day today.
Oh, yes. They have a lot to do.
And I went out to the Smith County Elections hub, basically, to see what they're doing ahead of tomorrow's primary, like getting everything set up, getting everything ready to go, and there's a lot of work. So here's a little bit of video. So let's start inside here. This is their one of their many rooms that they have. All these black boxes here are like the tabulation boxes, the things that are actually used to count the ballots. And then these little things that are gray sleeves are for curbside. They roll those out, and that's how you can vote at curbside. They just roll them out on the curb, and you boop, 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 do your thing. And then these boxes are all of their just general equipment that they need for these elections, for these primary elections. Now, these are the only 5 that they have. They only have 5 voting locations for this early window. They have 33 locations across Smith County for voting day, like actual election day.
Okay.
So they're only moving out these 5 kits today. But about an hour ago, they loaded up or about an hour and a half ago, they loaded up these trucks, or a truck, with all of this equipment to start taking it out to wherever they need to take it to for early voting, which again starts tomorrow, lasts for about, I believe, a week and a half, and then election day is March 3rd.
I know you blink and it's going to be here.
Right, and so, I mean, there's a lot of prep that goes into it. I talked with the elections administrator for Smith County. Her name is Michelle Alcon, and she said that for early voting, they have about 30 to 35 staff that are working in total across all 5 locations, making sure everything's ready to go, setting things up, moving things around, doing
That's
all
just
that.
for early voting?
That's just for early voting. She said it's about 7 people per location, and they have about 5 locations.
Okay.
And so about 35. And then for early voting, or not early voting, for election day, primaries, they have about 175 to 180 people.
So that's a real big whoop.
Real big hoof, because they go up to 33 locations that you can vote at instead of 5.
Gotcha. Okay, so with everything, I want to go back to, you mentioned curbside voting.
Yeah.
Is there certain qualifications that you have to meet to do that, or is this just what they're doing for?
So for curbside voting to actually do it,
Yeah.
that I'm not 100% sure on. I do
Okay.
know that when I was talking with Alcon, she was telling me that their mail-in ballot deadlines,
Yes.
if you want to get that going, that's due by Friday at 5 p.m.
And that's
to-
when it's posted, right? It's not when you
No,
arrive to put it away.
to apply to be able to do it in the
Oh.
first place.
Okay.
So if you want to do that and you want to do mail-in, you need to apply for that ASAP. And then she also talked about limited ballots, where say you're registered in a different county, but you live in Smith County and you still want to vote.
Yeah.
That's a thing you can do only during early voting, where you can go in and basically vote on things that aren't county specific. So you can vote on like federal and state stuff,
Yeah.
but you can't vote on county stuff in case you hadn't gotten a chance to update your registration after moving.
Gotcha. And I do have the votetexas.gov website to give you
Yes.
some more information about exactly, the qualifications when it comes to mail-in voting and who, because there's very strict rules about who can and cannot, and
Right.
little windows that give you some availability. Let me pull that up here and share my screen with you. And I'm sure you've looked at this plenty of time just preparing for this story. I like it because this website, is coming from an actual elected official. This is our Texas Secretary of State who powers this website, because this is information coming directly from our officials. So let's talk about voting by mail, like you mentioned. This goes into, certain kind of identification, but I want us to go to the eligibility requirements, because a lot of us are like, well, do I apply for this? Am I qualified for this? You have to be 65 or older, right? Sick or disabled. Expected to give birth within 3 weeks of election day, and that's before or after. Confined in jail, but otherwise eligible to vote, and out of county on election day during the period of early voting by personal appearance. So a lot of key things to look over here, especially if you want to find out more details. There's a lot of like FAQs and things like that to help you better understand exactly whether or not you are eligible. I just think it's fascinating, the curbside.
Yeah,
Because
and you know what? I just went to this website to look it up. They have a little thing on it.
Look at you.
I want to make sure that we get this because I think this is important.
Absolutely.
They mentioned that basically if you're physically unable to enter a polling place, you are able to request an election officer to bring out a ballot, and through that machine that we showed earlier. So that
Okay.
basically if you show up and say, I can't enter the building, like I'm not able to enter the building, they can roll that out for you.
which could mean wheelchair accessible. Some of our older East Texans who may not have, they're not as mobile.
Right.
And like my grandmother, for instance, she would need assistance walking with a walker or what have you. This is a great resource.
Right.
So with that, do they need to clarify or let people know, or does it just show up
I
and say,
believe,
hey,
and from what I'm looking at, it says if a voter is physically unable to enter the polling place, he or she may ask that an election officer bring a ballot to the entrance of the polling place or to a car parked at the curbside. After the voter marks the ballot, they will give it to the election officer who puts it in the ballot box, or at the voter's request, the companion may hand in the ballot for them.
so someone has to be present with them, like, okay,
Yeah,
let's do this together.
exactly. Yes, exactly.
Okay. Very cool.
Yes. And another thing that was interesting too when I talked with Alcon, she was talking about voter registration versus voter turnout.
Yeah.
And that was something we talked a little bit before going on here. Is that so? Presidential elections, a lot of people turn out for those because those are big elections. But
Right.
then smaller elections, like primaries, for example, don't have nearly as much turnout. And I actually have numbers from Alcon that she texted me from 2022 and 2024's primary elections. So in 2022, there was a 23.5% of Smith County people that are registered to vote actually voted. So
Say that number one more time, because
23.56% of people in 2022 that were registered to vote actually voted.
so not a quarter, not even a quarter.
Close to a quarter, not a quarter. And that's coming from 148,000 registered voters. So about 30,000 of them maybe
Okay.
voted out of the
Yeah.
148. And then 2024, we had 157,000 voters registered. And only 22.98% of them, so even a little bit less than
Oh,
2022. And she clarified, she said the big jump between 2022 and 2024 for the number of people voting, or not number of people voting, but number of people registered, is because they're registering for the presidential election.
Yeah.
And she said we're going to see another jump like that in 2028.
Okay.
And so it's interesting to see those stats because, again, that is such a swing, from presidential being 75% to primaries being 20 to 25%. And then she was saying even like school bond elections, like even smaller elections, 7 to 8%.
And those are the elections that really make a big difference here locally.
They can impact your school tax.
Yes, exactly.
And that comes straight out of your paycheck, or not, but your taxes. And so those have a lot of weight too. And so she was emphasizing, hey, vote in those too.
Yes. Not just the presidential, which is very important, the
Right.
presidential election, but all these other moments will make and break what you want for your area.
Correct, exactly.
Well, we can find out more details coming up on our websites, newscasts, kltv.com, ktr.com, but we'll have a full story tomorrow on Good Morning East Texas.
Yes.
All right. I didn't want to cut you off because we're about to head into
No,
our
all good.
midday newscast.
I was watching the clock too. I was like, are we going to make it? Are we going to make it?
Yeah,
But
we did.
we
Look at
did.
us.
Look at that.
All right. We'll see you tomorrow morning.